Hi guys, welcome back to the page. Induna Wengombe. I am of course the cattle headman, aka the Induna Wengombe Mitchell Mutumba Simata. First thing before I start off with this video, which is part 2 of the previous video, I just want to put out there, I just want to apologize. When I made the previous video, I mispronounced one of the traditional leaders who were fighting the first war of national resistance. I said Simon Koopner, but his name is Simon Cooper. His name is Simon, his surname is Cooper. Captain Simon Cooper, who led the Nama tribe in the first war for national resistance. This is 1904, 1907. So you can consult the history books on that. But this is part 2 of the previous video where I said the removal of the red line. But now I want to speak on what should those farmers expect when this red line is removed. The first thing those farmers should expect is they'll be scrutinized on the same level the more established commercial guys have been scrutinized on. You should remember some of these more established commercial guys have been farming on a commercial level or on stud level for nearly 10, 20, 30, 50. Some are even 100 years old. Some studs are 100 years old. And some people have been farming cattle or farming livestock for almost nearly 100 years old. So you're going to be scrutinized because the goal is set. The goal was put there. These guys established the rules, they established the game, and they established how you score the goals. So they've put the goalposts there. Now for the communal land farmers who have probably been up there, have been doing it on a traditional level, or have been doing it only for subsistence, own consumption, haven't really been doing it for financial return like commercial. Now suddenly they're exposed to this. Now you are down here, the goal is up here. You need to figure out a way how to score a goal into that post that's sitting up there. You need to figure it out because that's how you're going to be scrutinized. There's not going to be any special treatment. You're being taken from the social league and put into the Premier League. The Premier League, the EPL right now, the English Premier League. You're playing against Liverpool, Chelsea, Man United. Those are the teams you have to do. The only way you can either compete with these guys is either to invest in your farming project so you start upskilling, invest in your education so you continue upskilling, and also invest in education so you start upskilling, and also making sure that you start collecting, you start investing in good quality genetics so you can meet them there and actually be on the same footing. So those are some of the things that you have to do. The second one, the most important one, is having the local farmers buy into the project of the removal of the red line. This idea of the removal of the red line will not work if the local community farmers, in the local communal land farmers, particularly in those northern communal areas, the NCAs, do not buy into the idea of the removal of the red line. If most of these guys say, like for example the farmers in the O region in the north who take their cattle over to Angola to graze, if those guys don't buy into the idea of the government putting up a fence there, putting up a border fence, running all the way from Angola, Namibia, Angola, Ovambuland, all the way to the Kavango, running like that, closing off those areas, the first thing we're going to start, if those guys don't buy into that, it will be, of course, a dead dream. It won't be a dream that one would be able to blow life into, so it actually lives. Because if those guys don't buy into it and say, no, but we don't want that fence, they want to be able to take our cattle over to the Angola area to go graze and bring them back here. If those guys don't buy into that and they still want to continue doing that, I don't think the red line will be removed. If farmers, for example, in the Zambezi region, I'm not sure if it still happens, but back in the day, we had farmers who used to go over to Zambia, buy cattle and just bring them to their village without quarantining them, without putting them through the quarantine procedures. If people don't do that, like if I'm buying an animal from another country and I don't build a small quarantine facility there at my village, probably far away from my cattle with its own water post, food and everything, and it stays there on its own, it stays there and we're monitoring it to see if there's any illnesses whatsoever. If we don't do that and we just continue doing as we usually do, I buy cattle from another village, not even Zambia, but I go buy cattle from another village and just bring it to my kraal, and my cattle fall ill. If farmers don't buy into that, this red line will not go. If farmers don't buy into the introduction of giving an animal a health passport such as the same health passport like a human being has. If you go to the doctor, your information is, of course, recorded. Not back in the day would carry those passports, but unless you use the government hospitals, you still carry those passports. But nowadays, if you go to a private doctor and your medical history is in his database, his computer, they have all your medical history. They can literally trace back what illnesses and what not, what illnesses and what might have killed you, what might you have. So the local communal land farmers need to be willing to buy into this project. They need to be willing to subject themselves to these various tests that would be required, of course, by the state vet, so as to make sure that we safeguard the health status of the entire country. Because now when this red line is going to be removed, it means that what happens to you guys affects everybody now. So, of course, the scrutiny is going to be on you. There are going to be the naysayers that are going to be like, nah, they have an outbreak of tuberculosis probably in the Kavango region. Put back that red line and let's exclude those guys because they're just going to cause us problems. Don't listen to the naysayers. Buy into the project. If they're going to erect the fence, the Namibian-Angola border, they erect a fence there and you live near that fence. Be responsible for the fence. You don't need to wait for the government. If the fence is damaged, if you can afford to buy the material, go there and fix the fence. We should stop waiting to say, I want the government to put a tender, or if I fix this fence, the government should pay me back for it. Sometimes it's to your own benefit. And this is what I'm saying. The local community needs to buy in as we take responsibility for whatever they will put up there, whether it's the fences, whether it's the quarantine facilities they're going to build up for us, they're going to build for us. We need to take responsibility for these things. We need to buy in and we need to maintain and take care of these things. The next one would be limit the number of outbreaks, frequencies, or limit the number of outbreaks and frequencies, in the frequencies of the outbreak. What I mean by this, limiting the number of outbreaks, we do know that almost every second, third year in the northern communal areas, we hear of whether it's foot and mouth, lumpy skin. I haven't heard of tuberculosis in a while, but foot and mouth, lumpy skin, and other illnesses that break out there. We had elephant skin disease break out there that literally almost reduced the government coffers to zero. So if farmers in those areas would move from being reactive but to being proactive, proactive in terms of they don't need to wait to see a disease break out first. I remember I was talking to one gentleman on one of the agricultural WhatsApp group I am on, where this guy says his cow has been having growths, and he took a picture and he sent it to the group. The cow has been developing growths. The growths have been growing for a while now. And him and his workers have just been monitoring it without doing what needs to be done, that is vaccinating this animal. Sometimes we need to sit down and also be realistic and say, we know in my area that I'm farming, whether it is the Salambala area in the Zambezi or I'm farming near the Bwabata area and there's buffaloes, there's prevalent buffaloes here and there's kudus there that carry rabies and whatnot. It would make sense for me to say, I farm in this area, so I need to be willing to vaccinate my animals way before they show any illness. Way before they show any illness. I need to be willing to go buy the vial of lumpy skin, inject them so I prevent them. You remember what the doctor would always say, prevention is better than cure. Preventing an illness from happening is sometimes far much better than curing it. So preventing this illness, preventing an illness would be far much better than curing it, because preventing it might be cheaper than curing it. When you have to cure this illness, your animals all are sick. You have to call out the state vet. He has to probably use stronger medication, which might cost you more money. Now that he's there, his clock is running, and every time the clock runs, it's just going $100 plus, $100 plus, $100 plus, just for the call out, which might be expensive. So farmers in that area probably have to become more proactive rather than reactive. In other words, what they can also do, not other words, but what they can also do to limit disease outbreaks is, if I'm buying cattle from my neighboring farmer, my neighboring villager, I go ask my neighboring farmer that, look, have you done tests for 1, 2, and 3? If you are willing, I don't know if there's an animal health test kit human beings can buy and we can do, farmers can buy and do health testing on their own. I don't know if there's anything like that exists in market. Maybe there isn't, just the same as we have the HIV, just the same as we have the HIV home test. I don't know if we have animal home tests that we can do, but I'm not sure if there is or there isn't. If there isn't, another thing you can do is, if you are buying cattle from your neighbor, you ask him these questions, if he's done vaccinations for what. If he says he has and he can't give you proof, when you buy the animal, you've paid for the animal, before you take the animal and put it amongst your cattle, you build a separate kraal for it so it stands in there, so you can see if this animal will show any signs of illnesses after 30 days. I think 30 days is the maximum. After 30 days, if they are sick or have any disease or virus inside of them, it will start exposing itself after 30 days, just to make sure that your cattle do not fall sick. Because, as I said, they're removing the red line. You guys would only benefit if your animal, the cattle health status up there is extremely is good to excellent. That's when you guys will only benefit. So you need to make sure that you do this and you prevent. So build your own quarantine facilities, vaccinate your animals on time, do not wait for diseases to break out. Build your own quarantine facilities to make sure that you are not bringing up a disease or an illness into your kraal. You want to avoid this. Improving animal health status of the local animals. All right, this one and the previous one can be put together. As I said, build your own quarantine facilities. Another thing I also want to say is, I've seen this thing where people in a communal area, particularly if the farm is neighboring, if the villages are neighboring and the kraals are neighboring each other, whereby your farm workers would allow a bull from, you don't know where this bull is coming from. Sometimes not even your neighbor's bull, it's maybe coming 5, 6, 10, 20 villages away from yours, and he's walked all the way from there to reach your cattle. Because you know when cattle go out grazing, they walk very far, and when they walk very far, sometimes they come into contact with other cattle, they meet other cattle, and when they meet other cattle, one bull will probably come sniff your heifers and see 10 heifers are on heat here, I'm finished of mine, I'm going to go mount cattle in this other kraal. What you can do also, because we still have the luxury of having our farm workers walk with our animals. We have herders who walk with the animals, who take the animals out to graze, out to drink, and bring them home. What you can do is you can encourage your farm workers, or not encourage, but make it a law in your kraal that you do not want foreign bulls amongst your cattle. You do not want foreign cattle amongst your cattle. You do not want foreign cattle sleeping in your kraal. Because it's when these foreign cattle are amongst your cattle and are sleeping in your kraal, this is how they also bring illnesses. So you want to make sure that you improve the animal health status of the local animals. And I also mentioned you kick off a vaccination if the local farmers there themselves could discipline themselves, just like the commercial farmers this side, who sometimes do not even need to be reminded that it's winter, it's rabies season, or you're in an area where rabies is, or you're in an area where lumpy skin breaks out a lot, or you're in an area where, for example, animal tuberculosis happens. If farmers this side can discipline themselves, they need no one to remind them this. They do it regularly. Vaccinations are done regularly. If the farmers in that area farmers in the communal area can also buy into this idea and say, we need to be vaccinating our cattle to make sure that our health status is 110%, is good to excellent. That's what we want. Because now the red line is removed, we also want to join the formal market. That's something that we have to look at. So that is something that the local farmers would have to sit down and invest in. Put the time in, buy medication, buy vaccines, buy medication, inject their cattle. If you still have medication in the vial, share with your neighbor, let him also inject and improve his cattle health status. And inbreeding. Okay, improve their livestock management methods, better management of health nutrition. Yeah, introducing things such as lick into your herd can actually be a big positive to your cattle, because you should remember the animals need nutrients, and sometimes not all the nutrients can be supplied through grass, particularly on different times of the year. If, like they say, if winter comes around, the protein level of the grass goes down into the roots of the grass, so the cattle can't get protein and other nutrients they need from the grass, so giving it lick would be good. So the lick is not just your brick salt, it's more than the brick salt. You need to remember this. Ending inbreeding, very important. People still inbreed, but I understand that it's not everyone that can buy a good quality bull. But if your neighbor is willing to do a bartering trade with you, and he has an improved bull, why don't you do a bartering trade with him of saying, I will give you 4 heifers for your bull, that matured bull of yours. Something like that. So you can just end inbreeding, particularly if you have male calves born in your kraal. Don't keep them and make them bulls. If you're keeping and making them bulls, keep and make them bulls, but not for your own use, maybe for other people to use. But you castrate them. If you want to use them for your kraal, big no-no, because you don't want to have a calf of 6 legs, and so, which looks funny. Let's see. Okay, improve the cattle quality. Very important, guys. Very important. When this red line is removed, and the meat buyers, the buyers of slaughter oxen, buyers of weaners are going to come and buy these animals. They don't want to come buy an animal that has a 30% ratio. And that 30% ratio, I can say 10% it's meat, 20% is horns. No one wants to come buy a cow with such big horns and such little meat. So it will be to your benefit that you improve your cattle quality. Dehorning is important. You know, I know a lot of us, they love our horns. We have a very horned cattle. But dehorning is another thing you have to sit down and look at and actually invest in. You need to start dehorning your cattle. Number 2, you have to also start looking at improving your cattle quality, making sure that your animals, improving your cattle quality, making sure that your animals, you introduce new blood into your kraal every 2nd or 3rd year. Let's say every 3rd year, if you have the money to do that, you do that by introducing new blood, and improving the quality of your cattle. Not focusing on the quantity, but the quality. You start seeing that your animals become heavier, they become bigger, they become better, they start looking more healthier, and they weigh, and they would always weigh heavier than they usually do. If you start focusing on improving your animal quality, which is very important, you need to do that. So, which is very important, you need to do that. This can also be locked in with ending inbreeding. Of course, you need to end inbreeding and introduce better blood lines. I know sometimes in those communal areas, you might not be able to buy a bull that's 25,000 one man. Why don't you and your neighboring farmer, you and your cousin come together and say, okay, we'll go half and half. Let's buy a bull. Let's share the bull. 1 year it's in my crawl. 1 year it's servicing my cows. The next year it's in your cows. You guys work out on an agreement where you guys can work with each other. Just make sure that all of you are happy with the terms and conditions set there. So that's another way you guys can do. I believe by this few points I gave here, this is another way farmers in the northern communal areas would be able to prepare themselves for the removal of the red line. As I said, the government can speak about it by saying, want to remove this red line. But on the end of the day, it all comes down to the communal land farmers in that area, the northern communal land farmers in that area. If they don't buy in, number one, if they don't do a vaccination program, if they don't improve their methods of managing their animals, if they don't improve their cattle quality, there's nothing more the government can do. The government can say, we want to remove this red line, but it's all up and down in the hands. The ball is in the hands of those communal land farmers in that area. They need to buy in. They need to catch this ball and run with it and make sure that they don't drop it, so they can be able to be exposed to the more formalized and improved markets. So guys, thank you very much for watching this video. If you like the content I put out here, guys, like the video, subscribe to the page, hit the bell icon so you guys are notified of future uploads that I do on this page. And I'll be looking forward to read the comments in the comment section to hear what you guys have to say. And if you guys have any ideas on what the next video should be about concerning the issue of agriculture, what do you guys want to hear? What should be the next topic be about? Let me know in the comment section. For now, guys, I want to wish you guys have a very good day. Enjoy the rest of the day. And for now, I salute you guys.